Right off the bat, I want to tell you guys this is probably going to be one of the safest rankings you've seen of the Toy Story movies. This is more so just an excuse for me to talk about series I like rather than to do any groundbreaking rankings of them. And I figured with the fifth movie coming up real soon that I should just talk about it now. Why not? Let's talk about this mostly pleasant movie series. So in last place we have the fourth movie, which starts off with a thunderstorm where one of the toys is about to get drowned in a sewer or something. At least he's heading to a sewer, and so they have to rescue him from that. So they get him out of there, and then the movie kind of starts off with Bonnie playing with the toys, and it kind of shows how Woody's getting left out, and then Jesse's becoming the new sheriff. So he's kind of feeling like he's losing his purpose. He's kind of getting just shunned to the side, right? She goes and she has to start kindergarten, and then Woody kind of sneaks in with her to make sure that she's gonna have a good first day. Some stuff happens, and she makes a toy at the place, the kindergarten, and she makes Forky, which Forky is one of the worst additions to the series I've ever seen. Before I had seen the fourth movie, I used to have a friend who was a huge fan of Forky, and a lot of friends that were fans of him, and they said that he was super funny, and when I watched that movie, that was gonna be my favorite character. So I watched the movie, and he just ended up being really annoying. His joke is just, oh, I'm trash, oh, I'm garbage, I should throw myself in this trash can, and that's basically his whole joke. I mean, I guess he kind of helps the doll later on, which was kind of sweet, but overall his character is just really not good. Anyways, after kindergarten, something else happens, and the parents want to bring Bonnie to the carnival that's going on in town, so she brings her toys with her, and they're driving there. Forky falls out, so Woody has to go get him, and then they're walking along the highway, and Woody's trauma dumping to Forky about what his past was like, and trying to explain to Forky what being a toy entails, right? And on their way to the carnival, they see this antique shop where he thinks Bo is, and they go in there, and they're looking for her, and they encounter this doll. I forget the doll's name. I'll probably put up text that says her name, and then her creepy ass butler Benson, who isn't a gumball machine, who is probably the scariest character. All of the little toys in the first movie, they're nothing compared to this guy. The doll, her whole thing is she wants to have a voice box, and then she's looking for Woody's voice box because it works. Also, Buzz has this thing with his inner voice during the movie, to try to direct what he has to do, which it doesn't really make sense, because when you think about it, in the first movie, that whole voice thing was his delusion in thinking that he was a space ranger, but then now he's trying to use it, and I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me, but it's fine. I guess it helps progress the story in some sort of way. Anyway, this inner voice is the thing that causes him to leave, and then he gets caught up by some guy who does one of those carnival game ride things, and he encounters Bunny and Ducky here, which are probably the highlights of this movie. They're played by Key and Peele, which I want to mention as a side note here. That got taken off of Prime, at least in Canada. It got taken off, which I don't understand why, because I'm pretty sure that was a pretty funny show. I'm sure that got a lot of views on the site, so I don't know why that got removed. Maybe I'll look into it later and make a video on it, but it's really strange. I actually probably won't make a video on it because it probably isn't something too interesting. Probably just... Anyway, side tangent over. There's a lot in the middle that I can't remember too much about. I do remember the Canadian character in this movie that Bo encounters, which I think is great representation for us. So let's just go towards the ending, because I think that's a bit more interesting to talk about. I like that the girl doll, when she gets the voice box, and after she gets rejected by the girl that she wanted to be with, she's able to find a new owner who was also kind of lost, and she's able to comfort her and then go to a better home that's actually going to appreciate her. So that was a nice little thing to see that she got. I really hated the ending of this movie, because first off, when they get back to the RV or whatever it's called, for some reason Bunny and Ducky just disappear at some point. They say good luck or something, and then they just disappear from the scene completely. There's no shot of them walking off or any indication of where they're going. They just disappear. Anyways, and then for some reason Woody decides, oh, I don't want to go back, I want to have a life here, right? his reason is, oh, I don't have to just be a toy to play with. But thing is, there was characters that Bo was with, because Bo's like a lost, not a lost toy, but she's one that's like doing her own thing out in the world. Also, there's other toys that she works with that go in the sandpit to get played with. So no matter where Woody goes, still the whole point of him going there is to get played with. It just doesn't make sense. It's either he stays with his friends and gets played with, maybe not gets played with Bonnie, or he goes to the sand pit and he gets to play with a bunch of random kids, which is really weird to say out loud. Anyways, I think the ending could have been a lot better. I'm hoping when they make the 5th movie that they don't try to do a thing of like all the other toys get the same idea of, oh, let's just go out and be lost toys, because it kind of just didn't make sense because they end up getting played with anyway, like I said. Anyways, let's just move on to the next movie. Okay, so in 3rd place, I have the original movie, which, it's a classic, so of course it's pretty good. But, I gotta say, for being the first 3D animated film, it looks pretty good. I like the storyline. It's simple enough. Like, a new toy gets introduced, and then, they have, like, Woody used to be the favorite toy, and then Buzz, being the new one, becomes a new favorite. And of course, Woody doesn't like that, so he wants to get Buzz out of there, but then he feels bad because everyone else likes Buzz, so then he has to go get him back, and then they get lost in Sid's house, and Sid's this evil kid who's trying to do messed up things to all the toys. They have the hooker there. And then they have to get out of the house. It was kind of weird how they got out. Like, at the end, they kind of break the rule of, the toys, they can't talk or move around people. But at the end, they break that rule and they have them come alive when Sid sees Woody outside, and they all start attacking him, and Woody talks directly to him. So, I mean, minor inconsistency. I get why they did it, but it had me confused because I was like, is it involuntary for the toys to like go limp, or do they like choose to do it? I don't know. Because in later movies it seems involuntary, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I also like Buzz being delusional and thinking that he's actually like a space ranger on a mission. I think, that Lightyear movie they made, I think that would have been better if they just did like the first movie but from Buzz's perspective, so we could have seen like what that looked like to him and how he thought they were like on a space alien planet. So that would have been pretty interesting, as opposed to whatever they did with the new Lightyear movie. I refuse to see it unless you guys want me to see it. And I still hate the pizza aliens. I wish they didn't come back in later movies. But aside from that, I did think the overall film was fine. I liked it. So second up, we have the second movie, which is fantastic. This is where Woody's existential dread starts off. Okay, so Andy is like selling a lot of old toys, and they have this toy that gets out there, and then Woody has to go try to save it, and then he kind of gets seen by like a bunch of adults, so he has to freeze, of course, and then the guy who's collecting Woody and all the toys related to him sees him and steals him, and then the other toys are on a mission to get him back. And when Woody gets captured and he meets the new cast of characters, this is when we get introduced to Stinky Pete. So his motive is like he wants to be able to go to the museum that the guy is trying to ship him off to. The thief guy, that is. Yeah, for a while you're like on his side because he tells Woody, like, we're not gonna get played with, probably. Our kids are growing up, so don't you just want to be in a museum where you can be preserved forever and kids can admire you from afar? And then Woody considers it and he's like, well, I guess that would be cool because I'm with my gang, And then his friends come and they rescue him and they're like, we can work it out, Woody tells Jesse, like, you can join us. We'd love to have you. So Jesse and Bullseye, they want to join, but then Stinky Pete's like, no, we gotta go to the museum, and then they have this whole fight with him at the airport and stuff. I like seeing all the things that Woody and his gang had, like the show and the little shrine he had there. And I also like the adventure that the other toys went on in Toy Story. They got to meet Barbie, and they met a second Buzz who was, he was still delusional, and it was kind of fun seeing that again. And it was, I like the Star Wars thing they had vibe going on with Zurg being Buzz's father, and then they play like fetch when they reconcile. Overall pretty good, and from what I remember, they improved how the dog model looks, so there's a little win. And now on to my top favorite one. Alright, you already knew. Number one was going to be the third movie. It has a really special place in my heart from when I originally saw it in elementary school. Now, unfortunately, when I saw it, it was like the end of the day at school, and my mom had come to pick me up just as they were at the ending where they're all going down to that lava pit. So when I was little, I really did think it ended there, and I thought they all ended up burning. I am very glad that I finally got to see how it actually ended, because it scared me so much when I was little. For a while I refused to throw out a lot of my toys because I thought they would end up burning like that. So I had like piles of hundreds of toys in my house. Just I did not want them to end up like that. In summary, the movie is about the toys getting donated to a daycare, which the daycare is such a pleasant setting to look at. They meet the villain who like shows them around the place, shows them where they're gonna go, and they realize they don't want to be played with by all these toddlers. Also, Woody got separated from them before and ended up getting taken by Bonnie. He met other toys and he came back to the daycare to save them. Which the reason he came back to the daycare was because there was a clown toy that told him the backstory of the villain there, the bear, and how the bear got abandoned by his original owner. The original owner didn't mean to abandon him and then ended up replacing him with an identical bear, like in Mandela. It kind of makes you sympathize with him because it would be pretty terrifying if you went to your old home and you just saw an exact replica of you.
Something snapped.
She replaced us. Come on.
No, she only replaced you.
They go back and they rescue the toys from the place. So it was a plot point where Buzz got turned into a guard, and then he got turned into a Spanish version of himself, and that's when he fell in love with Jessie, which is wonderful. I like Ken and Barbie's little love story they have going on. Not nearly as good as the other Ken and Barbie's friendship, but you know, it's still pretty good. Love Ken's outfits. I wish I was as fashionable as him. It ends really sweet with Andy handing off his toys to Bonnie, like officially handing them off to her, and they play together before he heads off to college. It would have been a nice ending. I mean, I guess the one they gave in the fourth movie is fine. Maybe the fifth one will give like an actual official ending that's a lot more satisfying. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, thanks for listening to me rant about kids movies again. This will certainly not be the last one. I've got a couple other movies I want to talk about. I have a script ready for Incredibles 2 because I have a theory on that one. And I finally watched The Black Cauldron, so I'm going to be making that too. And I got another Far Cry video I want to make where I'm going to be rating the concept art of every character. So you got three video ideas there to look forward to. Alright, love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.